today.
Can you make my legs look bigger? Because, damn, my shit's skinny. That got me out here looking like it's not adding 10 pounds.
On a Good Time podcast, this is Ryan Banks, my man. Bro, PK's not here today. But today we have this guy right here, besides, who he's related to. This is one of my best friends, man, in the world, man. Is a dude that, through one of the toughest times of my life, man, me and this dude, we was together every day, you know what I'm saying? He had my back, man, through some real shit in my life, man. Super good dude. We still friends to this day. But he happens to be the late, great, legendary DMX's brother. This is my man Joe Barker right here, man.
I'm very happy to be here, man.
Appreciate you coming through, bro.
You already know. You already know. When you ask, it's not a problem.
Of course, and I know this. So this is even more than just this podcast. Like, when I heard the news about X, he called him Earl. That's his brother, Earl. So he just called him Earl. When we talk about him, he just be like Earl. But I'm a fan, so I call him DMX. But when I heard the news about it, it was just like, I got to call my homie. It wasn't really about DMX. It's like, if your brother was in the hospital, I would just call you just like, yo, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? It just,
you were one of the first people to call.
I'm like, bro, like, because, I've been through a lot of rough shit myself. So I know that type of support and your people's reaching out and people that understand them type of situations reaching out to you to like support you matters. So, I was hitting them every day. Yo, just checking on you. Yo, listen, man.
Every day, make sure I was all right. And I appreciate it.
Yo, if you need me, I'm here. You want to talk? You know what I mean? So, he was keeping me up on basically the, just the daily, how everything was going with DMX. And, we sending long text messages and just, calling each other on the phone and, crying and, you know what I mean? Everything.
It's good to have that support.
Yeah, this is my dude,
true. It's
man.
good to have that support when you're going through things like that. Like,
no question,
family
man.
and friends, it would have been a lot more difficult. And he was one of the first people that called me.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as the news hit and everybody knew, he was one of the first people that called me. Like, yo, bro, you all right?
Because I love you, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I love you, my nigga.
And I know how real that shit is, man.
Like,
and
we talking about hype. We talking about summer school.
Yeah,
we met.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I know this. People don't know our background. So me and Joe, I used to be homeless. Like, I'm like junior, senior year.
Yeah, running them streets. We was
high
running
school.
them streets.
Yeah.
We had it all figured out.
I think I might have just ran into you one time at the gallery or some shit.
Yeah, it was at the gallery.
It was Taj. We just started kicking it every day.
Every day.
I didn't have nowhere to go. So Joe kind of had some weird, like we would go by your mom's house.
Yeah. I could stay with mom when I wasn't fucking up the program.
But he just was fucking with me. And like, I ain't had nowhere to go. So like, man, me and this dude, we just be walking around the city. We're running into the broads or running into somebody that got some weed.
A place to chill for the night.
We'd go sit on the sofa while
sleeping, taking naps, checking yourself. You turn to nap. I'll stay up for a little
while. Straight up, but that same type of
adventures.
situation, it'll be times we sleeping at the clothespin. Right across from City Hall and shit on the stairs with the
Before
homeless
motherfuckers. And they be like,
shit.
yo, y'all gotta go. Y'all can't sleep here all night.
And he'll stay up for half the night and just be watching out. We had book bags on and shit. And then I'll stay up for the rest of the night and we be watching out, or we'll sleep in the fucking Greyhound bus station or, whatever, man. Like, me and this dude, man, like, motherfuckers
I always
don't
look at it as good times.
No. Don't get it twisted. We had some of the most fun of our life. But like, shit like that after a minute, you don't really know what type of toll it takes on you. You know what I'm saying? Like separation from your family, not being able to take a shower sometimes, stealing from the store because you're hungry, shit like that. Like, when you're a kid, it's like, man, fuck this shit. I don't give a fuck. But really, some of that shit is like a defense mechanism that you're just trying to use to fucking hide the fact that you're just upset that shit just ain't really going normal for you. Right. Like, some of your other friends shit is like that. You know what I mean? Right. So man, me and Joe, man, we it's been times we haven't seen each other for years and it's, we've reconnected and whatnot, man.
I bumped into him at a club in Atlanta. My first year, I didn't see him for like 3-4 years. I'm in Atlanta. I'm in college. I'm dancing on the dance floor, doing my thing. And I hit his back. I turn around. Fucking Ryan standing there. I'm like, this guy right here. I see him everywhere. And I see him everywhere. It's like always be out of state somewhere, in New York City somewhere. Like it was always, he would pop up somewhere. I'm like, damn, where the fuck you come from?
I move around.
Because he was always moving. He was always making moves.
Yeah. So how long were you in Philly?
I've been in Philly. We moved to Philly in 82.
82. So you grew up
in Philly? Yeah, I grew up in Philly. Yeah, my whole life. I went to high school here. I went to Greenfield. Downtown, and then I went to Overbrook High School for a few years. The funny thing is, I've spent more time in New York in my life after I got out of high school and went to college. I never moved back here permanently, so I've been in New York longer than I actually lived in Philly. But I was raised here.
He's from
all
Philly,
my formative years. I've spent here.
So peep the story, right? So me and this dude, literally, like every day, we just walking around, book bags on our back. We just, freestyling and talking to people and meeting people. And this dude used to tell me all the time, yeah, my brother D, man, he gonna blow up. He hot. He da-da-da. I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck he talking about. Like, everybody got a cousin or a brother or somebody that raps and shit, right? So I'm like, all right, yeah, your brother D. Like, I'm not dissing him. I just don't know who he talking about. I never seen him.
Right.
So, we went through what we went through, and then years later, so I had met his pop one time and shit. His dad is an artist and a jazz musician and shit, right? So one day I'm at my crib. This is like years later. I'm watching Behind the Music, DMX and shit. And it's like, yeah, his father is from Philadelphia. He's a jazz musician. Da-da. They put a picture on the screen, and it's my man's dad. I'm like, holy shit. Yo, this whole time I'm walking around with my homie. He telling me his brother gonna blow up and da-da-da. And it's fucking DMX, dog.
Yeah, before Def Jam, he was actually signed to Roughhouse, which was here, which was Stacey.
Bro, I had no idea.
Joe Nicolo, they had
his dad and DMX dad is the same dad.
They had him and Nas at the same time.
Crazy, yo.
I remember that call when they dropped them both.
Roughhouse had everybody. They had the Fugees.
The funny thing was, I remember this conversation. They called him on the line. They're like, yo, we got Nas on the other line. And he's like, all right, what's up, Nas? They start talking for a minute. And Joe Nicolo's like, I just want to let you guys know, I appreciate everything you've done, but Criss Cross is hot right now. And the Fugees, they doing a lot of records.
Fugees,
he said, and the stuff you guys are doing, Earl, I love you, man, but it's just not selling. And Nas, you're my guy, but Rakim, you'll never be. And I was like, oh, wow. And that's weird. I remember the exact words he said, but Rakim, you'll never be. And I was like, wow. And the thing, I know he's kicking himself. You let go two of the most prolific artists at the same time, a couple years before they was going to blow. Now, this was 90, 93, 94. So still, you had 6 more years of them growing. But still, the first joint he did on Roughhouse was Halftime. And you didn't think that was worth keeping this nigga? Like, you let that man walk out your door? First time I heard Halftime on the Zebrahead soundtrack, because I had got it from Roughhouse. I went down there to go get stickers and shit down there, because my brother was on label, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm taking advantage of this. So I would bring every bitch I was dating from high school down to Roughhouse.
So X was on Roughhouse? He
was on Roughhouse, yeah. That was the time when Tim Dog came out with Fuck Compton.
I remember that.
He had the single, Born Loser. That was the shit they dropped on Roughhouse. And it didn't really do much. And then Nas came out and did Halftime on the Zebrahead soundtrack.
I remember Halftime.
And that was Halftime. That was the first joint that he dropped. And that shit was an underground banger all day. Actually, Nas and my brother got a couple songs together that were never released.
Wow.
They did them at that time for Roughhouse Records.
I would love that.
I would love to hear them shits. I know Nas got one, and my brother got a couple. He was like, oh, we got to redo it, but they never got a chance to redo it.
Nas,
but that's old shit. Yeah. I would love to hear that joint, because they got the studio shit of them in the studio together, but they actually did a couple songs together, which were never released. And this was early 90s. You know what I'm saying? Back when I think Nas was like 17, 18, before he even did, I think, Live at the Barbecue.
Okay.
So you're talking about old shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Really old stuff, because he was talking about Nas being like, he wasn't, he was still a young kid, but he was known in Queensbridge. You know what I'm saying? So everybody knew him in the bridge. But I had heard his name way before I heard Halftime, but I never knew how nasty he was.
See, the first time I heard X was on a Clue tape, right? And this was a year before he even came out.
That was Niggas Done Started Something.
Yeah,
exactly. I remember that.
And the Locks. So Mason the Locks was really popular.
That was the last song on that Clue tape.
And he comes and he kills his verse. And I'm like, yo, who's this dude? So then, I'm hearing the buzz about him, but I'm hearing this guy's already been out, but I haven't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was when Puffy wanted to make him part of the Locks.
Yeah.
Puffy wanted to make him part of the Locks. And then he wanted to sign him independently. But my brother was like, I can't do the shiny suit, shiny suit shit. Like, because that just wasn't going to
Thank God that he didn't, bro. I mean, not no diss or knock towards puffing him, because that shit worked well for them. But the fact of the movement that DMX brought and the energy that he brought to hip hop when it was in the midst of that shiny shit, just like Peter Gunz said, bro. Like,
plus he already saw the turmoil that was happening with the locks and them already.
He changed
one thing you could say
bro.
about X, right, is that he never compromised. No matter what the wave was, what was going on, is down south, but he never compromised.
He wouldn't change it. It had to sound good to him.
Right. He didn't, you know, and not like I knew him personally, but just what I saw was that he never compromised and he never bit his tongue. I remember him being on like 106 in Park, and Jeezy is killing it.
Oh,
and I remember he was like, "Yeah, Young Cheesy, yeah, Young Jeezy."
And they tried to get away from that real quick. They was like, "Look, we're not doing that, X."
Yeah. And it kind of goes to what Peter Gunz just told us, that, yo, you know what I mean? Everybody dumping Gatorade on each other. Oh, Pun's the best. He asked Peter Gunz what he think about X. Oh, X is the best. They ask X. X like, man, fuck that. You remember that time I beat your ass?
It's like the 103.9 when he talked about Jay-Z and Rick Ross. When he's like, you go to a Jay-Z concert and all he does is stand there and just point at you for 2 hours. Right. You're not going to get any energy. And I've been to Jay shows. Like, he's a lyricist. So you're going to hear the music, you know what I'm saying? And you're going to hear the lyrics.
He was dissing Drake.
Yeah, like he goes after everybody. And Drake still showed him enough love to sample his records.
He didn't care.
Listen,
he was uncompromised.
I saw something with Charlemagne said that DMX was the most free person that he ever witnessed on the planet, because he never fronted, he never faked. He exposed every part of himself to the world. Right. Like,
yeah, that's hard to do.
And you know what I mean? Like, when he said it, I was like, wow, that's a real perspective to really, you know what I mean? Like, look at DMX from his, like, man, this dude, he shared his pain, his struggles, he prayed, he talked about the dirt that he did. Like, this dude, he kept it so real that, like, he was really free. You know what I mean?
In a way that this is like soul on paper. He said, a good MC is willing to put their soul on paper. Yeah. He said, if you can do that, then you be ready to go. Like, he's talking about Kiss all the time. He was like, man, you don't realize how good he can be if he actually put his soul on paper. Like, he can give you the braggadocious shit all day. He said that he the top 5 DOA. Niggas gonna love Kiss regardless. That's why he took 50 out so fast, because he had the streets. Mm-hmm. As long as you got the streets, you good. You can't get, but if he actually put his, like my brother said, if he put his soul on paper, like if he actually told you his hopes, his dreams, his fears, like he touched it with why. But if you really get deep into it, he's like, the nigga could sell millions of records. He could be up there doing J. Cole and Kanye numbers. He was like, but a lot of people, they don't want to step out into that. This is who I built, and it's the persona you see, the Gucci loafers.
They don't want to be vulnerable.
I'm not going to show you my vulnerabilities. You know what I'm saying? I tell him all the time, like, dude, you got a degree. He never talks about his degree. I'm like, nigga, you got an English degree. Like, you're really smart. But he doesn't touch on college.
Has a degree?
No, I'm talking about Kiss.
Kiss has a degree.
Yeah, you're talking about someone who was an English major, very smart, like, but he don't talk about that a lot. But I tell him all the time, you're one of the smartest people that I know. You should touch on that. But that's also touching on something that maybe that's private to him, like college. Because remember, they all tell their kids, they tell your kids to do one thing, but they tell their kids to go to college. You know what I'm saying? Kiss's son is at Clark Atlanta, where I went to school. Jeezy's son is also at Morehouse. Like, so it's, you got to realize, like I tell him, the same world you rap about is the same shit you send your kids out into. So you got to be careful what you say. You know what I'm saying? Because they might think your kid is you and your kid ain't you. Jeezy's son, I met him. He ain't his dad. Right. I know Kiss's son. Great, great young man. He's not his dad. Right. You know what I'm saying? He's a smart kid that, like my nephew Xavier. He ain't his pops. Right. You know what I'm saying? He'll never be his pops.
But that's what we do it for. I mean, my son ain't me, bro. I've been through way too many struggles.
Yeah. So he don't have to go through the struggles.
Exactly.
And if your son is you, then you somewhat have failed. Unless you're, if he's going through some of the struggles that you went through.
No, if your son is you and you're the fucking, if you're doing well, a man and you're, a stand-up guy, then
he should have your characteristics, but only the good traits.
I'm a stand-up guy, but I'm saying I've been through shit that
if your son's going through the struggles that you're going through,
you don't want to see your kids hurt at all. I mean, I have a 25-year-old. I don't want to see my son go through anything. I was an involved parent. Like, I made sure of it because my father was there and not there. He was there, but he wasn't. He was sort of like, I'm there till you're 13, but now that you're old enough to get pussy, you on your own. So
just real quick about your father. So is your father's last name Simmons or is it Barker?
No, it's Barker.
Okay.
Yeah, because
So isn't it interesting that a man had a son? His last name is Barker, but his son is the dog, and he be barking in all his heads. Don't you find that kind of interesting?
He always
find
finds
shit like that interesting. I be thinking that's the universe lined up in a weird ass way. This man's last name is Barker, and his son is like that's.
I mean, crazy. I always thought that the fact that he got as famous as he was like the universe lining up for him, because it was always something that he talked about his whole life. Like, we used to joke with him and be like, whatever.
Let me tell you something. DMX is like the person that is probably not supposed to be the most famous person. Like
he didn't want it that bad.
He didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, he didn't give a fuck.
He did the wildest shit.
He wasn't trying
it's like
at
Siegel.
all.
To me, it's like Siegel. He wasn't trying. Like Siegel always said, I wasn't trying to get it.
But Siegel never was DMX.
But I love the fact that he always said, I wasn't trying to get it.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying like,
for me. Like
DMX is like, you like, bro, this nigga don't give a fuck.
But also, another good thing for him was... But that be
happening for people that don't be giving a fuck.
Pac had passed. And you had that void. It was a void, where you had Pac was gone.
I was just about to say that.
He would say that all the time. He was like,
so
Pac was here,
that first album is Dark and Hell is Hot.
Yeah.
The soul in it, I heard a lot of Pac. He don't sound like Pac, but I heard a lot of like, I would say like Pac influences or maybe similarities.
I don't think it was any Pac influences. I feel like there was an energy that you recognized it. But I don't feel like DMX does anything really similar to Pac. I mean, I guess there's a God.
I've always said he's the East Coast Scarface.
But I'll say this though.
If you want to look at like how a cadence goes, he's the East Coast version of Scarface. That's why we said Scarface is one of my favorite rappers. Because to me, I've always looked at him as being like an East Coast Scarface. Like the way Scarface tells the stories and how he does his thing. Scarface is deep. Like I never really listen to a lot of ghetto boy shit.
But they had that record together. You never see.
Yeah. But it's like
that was a Pac and Scarface.
Yeah, he really goes there though. Like
but
Scarface goes there.
That X. And I know X and Swiss, they were a great combination, but I always thought X and Dame Grease.
Oh, I'm going to say, you got to give PK and Grease one of my favorites. PK,
man.
Dame gave him the bells, and the church type of sounds. Those were some of my favorite beats. And those were Dame and PK. Dame Grease and PK. Those are the guys that really made that first record go. PK I mean, Swiss had his joints on there.
Swiss,
you know what I'm saying?
Come on, yo. Swiss got the classic joints though. I mean,
he has he needed all of that. He had the hits, but when you look at, remember we talked about how I was the guy that looked at who produced what. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I'm looking at the soulful energy that and some of the sounds that Dame Grease mixed with DMX when he first came out.
Look through my eyes, like man, like, come on, man. Like
and so I was watching the Rough Riders thing that came on
Rough Rider Chronicles.
And Dame, I guess he wasn't in the second or third album.
He had already doing his own thing with Fake a Lot.
He did most of the album, and then it kind of didn't work out, and then they kind of went with Swiss. Mm-hmm. You hate to see that because I thought they were a good combination.
Well, it is too. It's when it comes to family, that's their nephew, so it's cheaper. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get a better deal off nephew. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that because really that punched their ticket. I
also think that him and Swiss had a real relationship too, though.
They were always cool.
In between each other.
When I met Swiss, his name was Kasim.
Definitely.
I met Kasim when he was 17, 18 years old. He had a little MT360 with a K-Swiss sticker on it. And I met him at the studio. He was like, hey, my name's Kasim. I'm like, hey, what's up? He was like, I'm a producer. I'm learning how to do it. And he was learning. He was learning how to do it. And look at him now. We used to take the bags off the bus together. My man getting it now. And I'm happy for him. He really worked hard at his craft.
Big up Swiss, man.
Only slip he ever had was the what y'all what y'all niggas want, because that was the Casio beat. And he flipped it a little bit, but homeboy sued him for that shit. But other than that was the only slip he ever had as far as like ever dealing with any type of backfires in his music.
I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, that was the beat that came with the Casio keyboard. That dun, 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 dun. If you actually go back to when we was kids, if you get the Casio keyboard, remember the samba song?
I don't really remember.
That was if you played the samba beat. Remember they had all the beats on the Casio keyboards. If you played the samba, the beat would come up. Dun, 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 dun,
That's crazy.
Dun, dun, and he did the beat, and then the white boy sued him. His ass was like, "Yo, no, son, you just ripped me off on my beat." Because he jazzed it up though. He took that shit and made it fire. But it wasn't.
That was huge for Eve though.
And that was the only time. That was the only hiccup he ever had, and he never had a problem with sampling or nothing after that. He was like, I'm good.
So can you tell us some dope stories about DMX that I'm sure nobody
like what was maybe your relationship growing up as teenagers or whatever?
I mean, as teenagers, it was mostly me going to Yonkers to see him in his house with his first wife, Tashira, because that was when they lived in Mulford Projects all the time.
What's the age difference between you two?
4 years. Yeah. So I didn't see him for a while when I was a lot younger, like maybe 9, 10, 11. And then like 12, 13, he started coming around more. He was calling, because he was starting to be like back and forth going to Baltimore, because he was down in Baltimore when niggas doing his thing in Baltimore. Right. So he would come through, we would see each other, and he was like, you just got to come to Yonkers. Because once he had a place of his own, I was there all the time because I had a place to stay. So I can go up there and I can chill. I can stay at my aunt's house, but then you got to deal with like 13, 14 people in the crib, and it's a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather just stay with him. But I mean, we hung out all the time. Like, I think I learned a lot about life and how to deal with certain shit on street levels being around him because of the way he dealt with things. You know what I'm saying? He taught me a lot about like, you know, this is how you handle certain situations. Everything don't got to be handled physically. Sometimes you can handle shit mentally. You know what I'm saying? You have to live to fight another day. You have to learn how to, you know, everything don't have to be right now, go hard 100%. He says sometimes going hard to get you killed. You know what I'm saying? You can go hard at somebody and they got 5 niggas with them and they'll end up popping your top off. And what did you really get out of that? You know, you got to be smarter than the next man. You know what I'm saying? When they say work smarter, not harder. Don't be out here killing yourself. You know what I'm saying? When you don't have to. You know what I mean? I just took little things from like that. The conversations, the time we spent, the tour times that we spent together, realizing that the shit is fun to a point. You know what I mean? Like when you're making millions of dollars, it is a lot of fun. Like I had a ball. But as soon as he stopped having fun, I stopped having fun. Because you realize it wasn't fun for him anymore. It became a job. And now you're out here doing this shit for a job because you got to wake up at this and you got to do this all day. And it wasn't fun anymore. The fun shit was the promo stuff. When you're out there, you're just doing shit for free and they give you free shit. Because I didn't realize when you're a rapper, everything is free. Like you struggle your whole life and you become a rapper and they just give you shit for free all day. Free cell phone, free boots, free jacket. I mean, we went to Pele Pele. This motherfucker gave me like 5 coats. I was the coat supplier of the hood back home. Like I was like, well, I got $500. I got Pele Place. And that was when they was really like the hot joints. And I had the one with the big P on the back with all of my, I had the fly shit, the red maroon joint with the rhinestones on the back with the big P. Oh my God, I got that on 500 first day I came back. Every nigga on 22nd Street was like, my man got all the fly coats because everything was free. Right. We was doing all of sweatsuits. I forgot the name of the sweatsuits that Eminem used to wear. That company he was fucking with.
Is it Nietzsche?
We had like tons of those. And then it was your man who was the other kid that was doing the shit that we had the stuff to. He got the fucking thing now, Echo.
Mark Echo.
Echo. We remember he actually worked for Echo. We actually had that contract with Echo. Right. So Mark Echo would send us boxes and boxes.
No, on Complex.
Yeah, that's something what he's doing now. Yeah.
That's a come up right there.
What? Yeah, he did his thing hard.
Yo.
Matter of fact, Search was just talking about that. About the fact that he was just doing the thing with Mark Echo.
I think that's how I really, because I didn't even know that he was involved with Complex.
I hadn't heard his name in so long.
Search was one of the people that told me. Search, I remember we went on tour with Search was with us on the Hoodstock tour. And I remember we was in the Turtle van. And he was like, I'm going to tell you right now, don't work for your brother. The only way he said that, he was like, I didn't talk to my brother 7 years over music. He was like, that made some very uncomfortable holidays in my house.
But y'all was always good. Oh, yeah. So me and you, look, right? We was just talking about this Aaron Carter shit, right?
Oh, wow.
Like, yo, just how bad he hates his brother. You know what I'm saying?
I've never seen that before. Like that type of hate for your spouse, for your sibling is crazy.
You saw the episode of Aaron Carter?
Yeah, my jaw dropped. I was like, dude, why is son so angry? Like, he was like, he's a pussy. I was like, wow, that's how you feel about your brother, bro?
Said, Nick rhymes with Nick.
Yeah, I was like, wow. Like, that's a lot of hate in your heart, your blood. Like, why are you feeling that way? Like, I don't understand, but that dynamic is weird
But you and X been cool the whole time.
Yeah, like, we argued about family shit, but we never would be. I would joke with him all the time.
Bro, this
I sound like him. So I've done interviews as him. You know, people on the phone, and I remember his manager was like, look, he's not going to be able to do it. He was asleep on the couch. Angela Ellaby was his manager at the time. He was like, look, he's asleep. He's not going to get up. And I'm not waking him up. And I'm like, I'm not fucking waking him up. He's like, would you do the interview? I'll give you $100. I'm like, shit, hell yeah. So Ice Magazine. If anybody finds the interview, that's my
Ice Magazine. Ice Magazine.
Ice Magazine.
Ice Magazine.
Ice Magazine. If you can find the interview with Ice Magazine, got you, son.
It's not him.
So at one part he asked me, he's like, and I remember which record it was the Grand Champ album. And he was like, how did you come up with the title? And I was like, oh, this is my chance right here. I was like, I just want to thank my little brother for that. Without his genius, I don't think I'd have that title because we were just sitting around. I'm trying to think of it. I couldn't think of shit. And then my little brother comes up with the best title. He's like, hey, man, this is your 5th album, your 5th professional win. You should call it the Grand Champ, which it was my idea. I actually did hand the guy thinking that shit. That was mine. And then he goes and he gives me no credit for it, but spits it line for line on the radio 2 days later. I'm like, this is how niggas do you. Don't give you no credit. Probably he was like, yo, good looking out there. Then when that record didn't do as well as he wanted it to, he was like,
it's your fault.
Because it's your fucking fault with that bullshit title. I'm like, nigga, come on. Like, why you throwing me under the bus? You got to put in the work to make it roll, baby. You know, because that was when he wasn't trying to do promos. He wasn't doing shit. He looked at it like I have a fan base, and my fan base is going to sell my records.
Right. And so I just need to put it out.
I just need to put it out. And the streaming shit wasn't really popping then. And even when streaming started, he was like, streaming. He was like, so what does that mean? How do I get paid? It was like talking to niggas about Bitcoin back when Bitcoin first came out. Like when my stepson was like, Bitcoin, you got to get it. I'm like, Bitcoin? The fuck is that? Was it money? He was like, yeah. I'm like, well, can you spend it? He was like, no.
Can I see it?
Get the fuck out of here. 7 years ago, this little nigga had tons of Bitcoins. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, I just bought this sneakers with Bitcoin. Now I could kill myself, kick my fucking self for not jumping on this Bitcoin shit because I really looked at it and was like, the fuck is Bitcoin? Like, you wanted me to give you money for money we can't spend and it's digital, but I can't take it out the bank. Oh, that shit sound like some fucking jerk move shit to me.
I have a cousin that told me about
Dogecoin. I had 16,000 Dogecoins.
Yo.
I sold them 2 weeks before that shit hit a couple weeks ago. Killed myself. I lost $9,000. I was short on money. I was like, I'll sell them.
Yo,
I'll do what I got to do, and I'll put it right back when I get my tax returns. If you had that shit,
and then Elon Musk went on Saturday Night Live, your shit went
up. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a grown ass man. I'm 45. I cried because I realized what I gave away. But then I was like, my mom was like, "Nigga, it was $10,000. Knock it off." She's like, "That ain't no real money." No. I was like, you know what? It's not, Mom. I need to stop. She's like, when you're broke, it sounds like real money to you. She's like, you're mad because you're looking at how much it could be in 10 years. She's like, just start buying them back slowly. I'm like, but I bought 16,000 at less than a penny. Because I had heard about it last year. And a friend of mine was like, yeah, go on this Dogecoin shit. I was like, yeah, I'll hold them. Held them forever. They never did shit. And I was like, you know what? I'll sell them. I'll just buy them back when I get my tax returns. Got my tax returns 2 days late. Them motherfuckers was up to like 70 cents. I wanted to punch myself in the face because that was like 3 new bicycles right there. Because I'm a bicycle fanatic. So I was like, that's a brand new bike.
Some of the
Dogecoin. Oh.
No, I think I have like 150.
Jump on it because I was just getting introduced to Bitcoin. So it was like, whoa, one thing at a time.
You want to jump on that new shit.
My mindset.
And I was going to tell you about it too. There's a new thing called Decentraland. Have you heard about that? It is Roblox for adults.
Yeah,
it's literally they have places in there where they're selling plots of land in Decentraland for $80,000 to $100,000. You can build arcades, studios.
No, I'm fucking with the NFT shit right now.
NFTs, they do that there too. There's a guy that has a studio, an art studio in Decentraland. You can do NFTs in it, but you can also put out your music. You can actually open up a place to sell your music in Decentraland.
And then do an album release or some shit.
People do that. They have artists that are doing that in Decentraland right now, and they say you can put it out. You get the mana coins for your stuff, and the mana coins are worth whatever the mana coin is worth that day. So somebody buys your album or streams your shit or buys it, your single or your artist single for 10 mana coins, it's like $10. And you literally have that in your account. And it's a beautiful, I'm telling people all the time, like, get on that Decentraland shit. The mana coin, I've started buying them at like 22 cents. They're up to like 89 cents. Or maybe a little bit less now. It's going to be the next big thing because it's Roblox for adults. And with this pandemic shit, people are sitting at home on the computer because everybody want to live their best life. You know, lying to motherfuckers online, talking about how they the man and shit. So I see it all the time with my son. I mean, God knows what you could do with a camera phone and extra time on your hands in somebody's car.
Right. Shit crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you would never think he has a Nissan. You would think this motherfucker's driving around a Bentley the way he poses. I'm telling you.
Hey, so you man, cut that shit out.
Getting the bikes, right? Real heavy. And I believe, X was in the bikes.
Well, he was in the motorcycles.
He was in the motorcycles.
Yeah, I do bicycles. Yeah, I do like fixed gear. Like, you ever seen the movie Quicksilver? With Kevin Bacon, I might be going back too far for you.
Yeah,
that's too far for you.
Not that you're going back too far.
Premium Rush,
remember it.
Premium Rush,
yes.
The Premium Rush. Well, I do. I ride a bike. I'm sure you might as well know because everybody white know about fixed gear bikes. They be like, I know a fixed gear bike. That's a bike that can pedal forwards or backwards. So I have to stop with my legs. I have no brakes. So my legs are my brakes.
In New York with that shit.
Nah, we learned this. It's like we learned that you have to learn like that shit is a skill.
What's that newer? It's not like recent this year, but maybe like 2016 or some shit, where the dude is like a bike messenger.
Oh yeah, that was Premium Rush. We actually went to the premiere of that with him because we were all in that movie. All my friends got to be in that movie, so we actually got to go with him to the premiere. We had on 42nd Street. They let us park all our bikes in the movie theater.
What's the dude's name?
Joseph something.
Wait, dude, he's in a bunch of movies.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Maybe. I don't know.
I forgot his name. I forgot the guy that played, but he was.
But that shit. The bike
he's a really cool guy.
And then at the end, they like passing it off to different.
A lot of my friends are in that movie.
On type of the cars
that's actually another kid too. That's a kid that's from Ireland. I forgot his name. He actually just jumps off of like castles and shit like that. I forgot his name, but he's a kid from Ireland. He does that BMX type of ride where he has no seat on his bike, but you can see him flipping off I'm talking a castle in Dublin. Like they show him riding on a little skinny rail and he flips off the front of the castle in Dublin. Like the shit is nuts. I forgot his name. Jimmy something. But
that was shit like that?
Fuck no. My man, the best I'm doing is doing like long skids and riding real fast. I mean, my thing is my shit is built for speed. You know what I'm saying? A bike like that got the fatter tires. That's built for landing on shit. Like I'm built for speed. Like cutting through traffic, I'm the man. But you trying to get me to do wheelies and all that shit these young kids, then nah, I'm not doing that. Okay. Like I'm 45 years old. I gotta take care of these baby knees right here. I gotta oil my shits up in the morning when I got to bed. You know what I'm saying? It's like I don't just get up and get on the bike. I gotta stretch first, make sure shit's working right. Arm feel good. Arm feel good. Back feel good today. Back feel good today. I used to fall and get up, be straight. My heel injury, you don't even want to hear about my heel injury. The best story in the world. I'm running from the police. This is a good story about me running from the police in Central Park like 2.5 years ago. Me, my friend Rigo, my man Shardy, we're all riding through Central Park. It's like 1:30 in the morning. There's a white lady in front of us jogging. Now, Central Park closes at 1. Now, thinking back on it, I understood why the white cop pulled up on us because he see us right behind this white lady. We on bikes with backpacks. He probably
Central Park 5.
Yeah, exactly. He's thinking some bullshit about to get out on this poor white woman. Let me stop these Negroes, see what the fuck they doing. So he's like, hey, guys, what you doing? Like, going home. He's like, got ID? My man Shardy's like, yeah. He's like, can I see it? Shardy immediately goes, no. Like, his whole demeanor changes, no. He's like, why can't I see ID? He's like, why the fuck you asking? Why don't you ask that lady running ahead of us? He's like, I'm not asking about her. I'm asking about you. He's like, you know what? If one of you guys don't show me ID, you're all going to jail. Everybody takes off on the bike. And I just had a brand new bike. I just got this brand new Tribe. I love this bike. So I'm trying to take off from the cops. And they're in that Jeep Wrangler shit that they chase me on the grass, on the ground, on the grass, on the ground. Now, if you ever been in Central Park, the crossovers to 81st Street, you cross from one side to the other, the wall is like 12 feet. I ride to the wall. I hear the fucking cop behind me like, get off the bike. Don't you jump off that wall. I was like, fuck you. Threw my bike off the wall, jumped off the wall, landed on my heels. Nigga, when I tell you, I never knew what a heel injury was like. Like, you don't understand what it feels like to land and hurt your heel pad like that. I had this backpack on. So I had a bunch of shit in the backpack. I land on my back. I got these fucking shoes on, which have no give. Slam my heels into the ground. I'm fine. Adrenaline has got me going. I dip out the parking on Madison Avenue. I'm sitting on a little pole. Actually, a picture on my Instagram before I hopped off and landed on the ground, almost died. I'm sitting there balancing myself. My man's like, you ready to go to the bar? I'm like, yeah. We was about to go to Iggy's and do that, what's that shit, karaoke night. I hop off the pole to stand up. My nigga, I thought I got shot in both my Achilles. You talking about I fell over like a timber. Nigga,
So hold on, back up. So when you hopped wall,
yeah, it was about 12 feet. I jumped off.
The cops just gave up.
Oh, they wasn't. I don't think that cop could have believed that I hopped off that shit. He didn't believe I was going to jump. He was like, that motherfucker ain't jumping.
So the cop was like, fuck it.
He was like, nah, he's fucking. Because I'm like Neo, waiting on the ground, waiting for him to come up to look through that window. You know, when Neo rolls down them steps, he's waiting like, come on, get up, motherfucker. Just get up. And I'm waiting for him to come over that wall with a gun like, don't run. Because at this point, you done got me chasing you through grass and raccoons. And there's a lot of shit in Central Park, so I don't think he really wanted to run into the shrubbery. I didn't give a fuck. I wasn't going to jail. Because I had better shit to do that night. But I'm sure them cops are still talking about the idiot they chased around on a bike who jumped off the fucking wall in Central Park.
They don't know about the heel injuries.
They don't know about the heel injury. Oh my God. I was off my feet for 3 weeks. I had to piss on my knees.
So speaking of which,
that was terrible.
Cops chasing people. So DMX used to drive around in a car pretending that he was
he had the blue Tahoe with all the police lights on it. Now, you know when you got the thumper? He had the thumper in the back of the joint, so he could boom, 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 boom. Then he had the pull it over, take it, and he had the lights in the front, the cop lights in the front. And he had the little thing you could stick on the top if you needed it. We're leaving Jimmy's Cafe. It was Fat Joe's birthday. Now, you don't realize how crazy you look when you smoking weed in the car and the cops pull up behind you. Like, you don't think about it when you're the person getting pulled over. You was trying to hide shit. These little motherfuckers in a gold Civic roll past his side. He's like, oh, we got action. First thing he says, he's like, oh, we got action. So they're about to go down the on ramp. He's like, watch this shit. So we pull up behind him, boop, 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 pull it over. I'm like, oh shit, so these motherfuckers, you start seeing all the hand movement. You know, when you trying to hide weed, they're trying to put the shit under the seat. You see him moving and all erratic movements and shit. So he's like, pull it over. I said, pull it over. So they start slowly riding. He's like, don't try to take off. They stop. He pulls the next place, what you guys doing? And they're like, nothing. He's like, smoking weed? And they're like, no. He's like, all right, guys, carry on. Have a nice day. And just pulls the fuck off.
They don't recognize that as DMX.
They had no idea. All they knew was that he would fuck with people all the time with that truck. He would pull random people over.
So you would be with him when he's doing this.
He would do that shit all the time.
He got arrested at the airport.
So that wasn't his first time.
No, that wasn't his first time. The airport shit was when they wasn't having it. That white boy was like, come on, dude. Yeah. I know who you are. You DMX. You ain't no fucking FBI agent. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then he ran through the gate, which was never a smart move. But he would pull over people all the time. Like, if you was in the middle of the street and he wanted to get around you and you didn't move out the light fast enough, he'd be like, boop, boop, get out the way. And you move out the way. You know what I'm saying? There was times when he'd be like, get the fuck. He didn't care. Like, he would just be like, boop, boop, get out the way. There was cops that see, like, he did that shit to a policeman one time. He was in his regular car going to work, and the cop pulled over and then started following us. And then pulled up next to us and was like, X, you can't be doing that shit, man. You know you're not supposed to have that on your car. If you wasn't who you were, I'd lock you up. It's like in Philly on South Street. He's on South Street, riding down. Now, you know, you got the curb, cars are parked. There was somebody in front of us. We were about to turn off of, I think it was like 6th to come on to South Street. So we're about to make the left turn on the South Street. There was somebody in front of us that wasn't going fast enough. So he decides to cut across the curb on South Street. So we cut across the curb. Now I see that you can hear the cop going, yo, like he's screaming at the top of his lungs. He runs over to the car. He's like, yo, X, man, You can't be driving like that, man. This South Philly, man. This
he got
South
off
Street.
so many times.
A million times.
He still was getting
we
locked
would
up.
go to the airport. He'd have the gun, the security guy's gun, in the bag. And this is not getting at these MTA people, these the TSA people in the trouble. They let him on the plane. I used to be like, because he would always be nice to him. You ever seen a lot of his videos? The TSA people, he was loving them TSA folks. He would be riding in the car with them.
No, listen. One time I was in Arizona. I'm sitting in the airport.
Oh, Arizona,
come riding through on the
yeah. He was known. He was known in airports.
There go fucking DMX right there.
Chicago, Arizona, LA. To the point where when we got there, they would actually seek him out. They would be the TSA dudes that he knew would seek him out. Be like, yo, you need anything? You got to get on the plane. Anything you don't want, he'd be like, yeah, take my security gun, take the weed, and take my shit, and they would just, and the girl would let it, and we would go through the thing, and she opened and go, have fun, and send it through, and it was not a problem. Like, this was a regular occurrence because he had such good vibes with these folks that we could go to a lot of place airports, and they would find him like, oh, X, I heard you was here, man, get on the cart, man, I got you. Yeah, like, what you need us to get on the plane, and they would literally take his bag, the baggage handler. Your shit would go through nothing else. You got everything you need in your bag, X? We got you, son. And they would take his bag on their own and put his shit on the plane for him. I'll be like, that's fucking amazing. Like, you get that type of love. And we would tell him, he's like, I don't let niggas go in there blind. Like, niggas know what they got in the bag because he would never put nobody in jeopardy. If you going to take this shit, understand my security's gun on that bag, you're going to have to deal with this, if you get caught with it, if somebody else higher up than you fucks with you. But I'm letting you know. And they wouldn't care. They'd be like, we got you, dog. Don't worry about it. And it would be girls, guys. That was the love he had. Because people would ask him all the time, like, I'll take a picture with you. He'd be like, no, let me take a picture with you. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of vibe he had with people. And they would like to do nice things for him because he was so kind and to return that favor. There was times we'd be getting off the plane somewhere and we would end up at somebody's house eating food that we didn't even know just because they invited us. Like, oh, you want to eat? My grandmother makes some banging turkey wings. Turkey wings. That's all you had to tell a nigga was turkey wings. And that was his shit, turkey wings. Oh, you got turkey wings? And we was on our way. Barbecue turkey wings especially, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was it. There was many a time where they'd be fucking scrambling. Like, dude, you can't just be going to people's house. Like, nigga, I'm the dog. That nigga, like, ain't nothing gonna happen to me, baby. And that was his thing. I'm the dog. Ain't nothing gonna happen to the dog. He's like, black people, my people love me. Right. And he would say it all the time, nigga, you ain't never got to be scared. My people, I would be terrified sometimes, my nigga. We be in situations like, we gonna get robbed. Like, it's not gonna work out. Like New Orleans.
I want to fuck with DMX.
We in the middle of the projects in New Orleans, 3:30 in the morning. We just came into town. He goes, where the hood at? And that was when you knew shit was about to go down. Fuck. It's 3:30 in the morning, dude. What are we doing in New Orleans? What do you mean where the hood at? Like, why are we trying to go to anything hood at 3:30 in the morning in fucking New Orleans? We end up in the projects, Magnolia. You know what I'm saying? It's like dead ass. So there's this one old crackhead looking motherfucker sitting out there. My brother goes, I need to find some smoke, man. You know where to get it? He like, you want that lobster? I guess that's what they call the good weed, lobster. So he's like, I'll get it for you. He had no idea who my brother was. He just see the chain and a bunch of guys with him. So he run into they had them little 2-story courtyard shits. He run in, little young nigga come out, oh shit, DMX. Yo, man, you got to come back and hang out with us. We playing dice. We stayed there till about 6:37 in the morning. We got late night dinner, early breakfast. I think he lost about 10, 11 grand shooting dice. But his thing with that was, you got to lose the money to these little niggas because that's why we leaving with everything. Because you got to make them feel like they won. You know what I'm saying? They just didn't get to hang with me. They got to take my money. And that's the story they'll always tell. I got that nigga X for $5,000 and make him feel good. He said, I lost him some hand. I wasn't worried about that shit. I knew I was on when I'm on a cold streak, give him some more money. Right. Make him happy because it's nothing to me, but it means something to them. You know what I'm saying? And it builds that, like you the band, you ain't, because they just looked at him as like, you don't need no security. And he didn't. He would go places with me, him, and the dog. And his thing was, as long as you cool, we all cool. Because nobody's going to fuck with me. Because who's going to touch me? Like, it's not about me thinking I'm bigger than anybody else. But the way he treated people and the way he carried himself was like, my people love me. Like, they wouldn't let nothing happen to me. And there was times when I thought shit was going to go down when other people stepped in and was like, my nigga, and they going like, not with X. And they going like that with him. Like in Chicago, there was, a situation where some motherfuckers was like trying to start some shit and other people we didn't even know stepped in and was like, yo, it ain't happening. Like, you touch that man, you ain't going to make it off. They pretty much said, you touch that man, you ain't making it off the block. Because that's X. Like, and he down here showing us love. Like, how you gonna fuck it up?
To the people, man.
Yeah, and it was like that. He meant a lot to people he would be around. It was like he could go places and be totally safe, and he never worried about it because that was just the way he was. He didn't have that type of, I got to worry about that. He can remember that R chain. He had that shit for like 15 years. He never worried about it getting took. He wasn't one of them people like, I don't worry about this and my jewelry and that. I would be nervous when I had to hold that shit. When he'd be like, I'm drunk, man, hold my shit. Because he'd be clinking all over the place, and I'd be scared to death, tucking in, hoping nothing happened to it, patting my chest 25 times to make sure it's still there. You know what I'm saying? Because there was one time he had the bracelet, and he had a chicken in the hotel in the brace, and she woke up, and I guess they had got to an argument that night, and she woke up in the morning and took his bracelet. She dipped.
It happens to a lot of cats.
Yeah, she dipped. She took the bracelet, she rolled out. So he didn't think we was going to find her ass. So he goes on the radio later on that day. He's like, yeah, such and such, and she got my bracelet. You know what I'm saying? So the bracelet comes up at a barbershop in Chicago.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a barbershop in Chicago. So we go over there to get the bracelet back. And the dude's like, I can sell you the bracelet back, but I can't give up homegirl. Because he wanted to talk to the chick. He was like, I want to holler. He was like, nah. Because she really was like, didn't know who to give it to. She went to some local nigga, you know, he got it. And he was like, I'll give it back to you. He was like, you know, give me a couple G's for it. That's what I spent. My brother was like, you spent $2,000 on that bracelet. He was like, yeah, I want to get your bracelet back. Now, we found out later that he spent nothing on the bracelet. He just knew homegirl and said, I can get it back to him for you. But the whole point is he got the bracelet back. But that was just one of them things where you realize like the shit people go through. You know what I'm saying? Just like having certain things. And then you see all the stuff that he had, the adventures we would go on. Like we had to go to a barbershop where they closed the barbershop behind us when we go in there to negotiate the return of this bracelet. You know what I'm saying? For $2,000, which homeboy was not coming off this bracelet. Because we went in there talking at first and he shut the shit down. He was like, hold on a second. And shut the gate. Because he thought we was going to try to take the bracelet and dip. Like on some more rapping shit. He was like, look, this ain't Yonkers and this ain't your hood. He was like, I got your bracelet back. He's like, all I'm asking is for what I paid for it. He was like, and it's yours. And he kept saying, it's yours, folk. It's yours, folk. Just give me what I paid for it. So we ended up paying the man and we left with the bracelet. You know what I'm saying? It's like shit like that. Like stuff like that happened. Not all the time, but it was always something going on. Like the early days were adventures. Because there was always something good happening. You could always count on Earl to fuck something up to the point where we'd be like, oh, this is some shit right here. Like when he flooded the studio in New York City. You know, when you leave the building, you got the big red box with the big shit in it, with the fire hose. Yeah, he decided he was going to flood the studio. He didn't like how the engineer was treating him that night. I remember his name, Gary. Gary. His name was, the white guy, was Gary. Hold on. Gary was giving him shit all night.
Turn on the hose.
So the hose. We left. We were leaving the studio and we were about to get on the elevator. This was on 30, whatever studio. I think it's the Sony shit on 36th Street in Manhattan. Whatever one is on 36th Street. Mm-hmm. We're leaving. I'm about to get on the elevator. He's like, man, fuck that. We're going down the steps. I'm like, okay, no doubt. We're like 3 stories up. We walk down the steps. As soon as we get out there, he's like, fuck Gary. He opens up the red thing, starts turning on, and the hose is wrapped around, so there's no way the pressure can get out. So it busts out the back. The hose literally rips open out the back, and there's water. And he's like, oh shit, Joe, look what you did. And then we walked down the steps and left. And I had to take the heat for that one. I took the heat for a couple of things that we did. Like when at the hotel where we stayed at the W for the movie, it was the I forgot which one it was. Whichever song was for X Gonna Give It To You. It was for Silver Studios. And Joe Silver was the one that did Matrix and Predator. So I didn't realize when you go to do these movie shits, like you charge everything to them. So we stayed at the W Hotel in Westwood. That's the best shit. I've never stayed at something so fancy in my life, Ryan. Like I was loving this shit. We had silk sheets. Like I had a suite to myself. It had 2 bedrooms. Like we was fucking porno stars all the time. Because we would go to this place called the Saddle Ranch. And that was his shit. You know, he loved the fucking Saddle Ranch. He used to actually say to us, get your fishing rods ready. For what? We go into the fucking Saddle Ranch so you can shoot pool and look at old white bitches. Because that's what we was at. It was the Saddle Ranch. So we would always be, there was our shit. So we would have this every night. We would always go back to the hotel. We'd have some chicks with us. We'd go back. We'd meet somebody at the Saddle Ranch, which was the worst place ever. All them cool spots. The fucking Saddle Ranch. You ever been there? Don't.
But if it works for him, then...
Yeah, he was always trying to pay niggas to get on the mechanical bull, then call you gay for doing it later. You look really good riding that bull like that. He would kill you with that. He would get all his friends, be like, yo, ride the bull, I'll give you $500. And as soon as you get on the bull and ride, he'd be like, oh man, look at you. You was up here just riding that bull. Killing you with that shit. I'm like, see, that's why you don't ride the bull. Oh, I got $1 million of those. He paid a nigga one time $5,000 to eat puppy shit. And son ate it with the chewage. Hey man, people that do things for money. I was like, what? I've seen people eat roaches, lit cigarettes, but the $5,000 for the puppy shit, and he had it on the spoon, ate the whole shit. $5,000. His girlfriend was happy though. Let's go shopping.
Oh my gosh.
And so we in LA at the W, and they charge everything to the room. Now this is when I learned about what Kobe steak was, like a Kobe beef, and Louis the 13th. All of this shit that I had no idea what it was.
I learned about Louis XIII in a bad way, but go ahead.
Yeah. I probably did the same way because I learned it when we got the bill for that shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So listen, I walk into, I don't want to cut you off, but I'm going to cut you off. So we walk into this bar, me and my homie Shawnee Mo. We at the bar, he like, you see that shit up there? That's Remy something. That shit is like $30 a shot. And shit, I'm like, that's not Remy. He's like, no, I'm telling you. I said, all right, cool, get some. Get 4 shots and shit. I'm standing there talking to this girl. He tapped me, he goes, yo, it's 440 and shit. And I'm like, man, that's it. Like, he like, nah, it's $440 for 4 shots and shit.
Yeah.
Like, nigga, ridiculous. What the fuck did you order? So I give him my card. I got a fucking gold card and shit. Give it to him. Yo, the fucking place, they don't believe it's my card and shit. They take me in the back room. They asking me where I get this card from, all this shit. So now I'm pissed off. So I go across the street to the fucking ATM to get the cash out and come back like, fuck y'all. Then they take us up to a private room now. They love me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because they know it's your money. Your money's real now. Yeah, you know you got the cash.
Yeah, Louis the 13th, that's the first time I ever had that shit.
Yeah, ridiculous.
My man ordered that shit thinking it was some other shit. $440
yeah.
for 4
I got
shots.
caught for a bottle at the W Hotel because I had no idea what it was. She just said, I want a bottle of Louis. And I was like, yeah, get a bottle of Louis. Yeah. At the end, I didn't realize it was $7,000 for the bottle because the hotel is $5,000. But they charge you up to $2 more $1,000. Yeah. He was getting one every night for his room, but I didn't know the price of it. I just knew that that's what he was drinking. He was like, yeah, get a bottle of that Louis because it came in a box. That wooden box, and then it was Bulgari crystal.
The joint is beautiful.
Yeah, $500 just for the bottle.
Yeah.
Like he had just cases of the bottles. Like, because when we flew private, they would give him one every time. It was gorgeous. So then we got the end. It was like we stayed there for a month and a half, and we got the bills at the end. So, you know, the guy comes through, and I said, one of the guys that pay for all that shit. And my brother, for some reason, has what are the individual room totals? I'm like, what the fuck do we care about this shit for? Like, he never asked this ever. Today, he decides he needs to know the individual. So it's like, you know, your room was like, you know, 27,000. And then he got the Jack's room. I mean, his man Jack was like 20,000. They got to my room.
50,000. More.
$127,000.
Yeah.
What
the fuck were you doing? All
right, that's what he said. What the fuck were you doing?
What the fuck was you doing?
You gotta understand, like, lobsters cost money. The car rides cost money. You know what I'm saying? You paying for everything. Like, so I was getting like, you know, you have like chicks over there in the daytime, that's champagne. That's $500 a bottle for the champagne. But I didn't know the cost of everything. I was just like, when they ordered it, and the Kobe steaks by themselves was $200 a steak. So I'm doing that 3 times a day sometimes, 2 times a day. And then it wasn't just, and then you're talking about the turn down service, the free massages. Everything I was getting it all, son. Yeah. Free massages, like twice a day. Like I'm getting rubbed down with the oil and everything.
Yo, my brother's DMX.
I'm doing everything. They giving us the car, and you can get the regular town car, or you can go and get yourself the limo. I'm sending bitches home in the limo. Fucking town car. I'm picking the bitch up in the, like, would you want the Mercedes to get you? Had the Mercedes go get Rebecca over at such and such. And that's what it was. And you had to tip them. So you could write down something like, yeah, give him a nice tip. Shorty was like, I gave him a $100 tip. I was writing $500 tips because we wasn't paying for it.
Right.
So some of the guys was loving me. They was like, hey, man, you need to ride to the store? Because they knew I was about to give him a $100 tip. Because you just write it on the little slip, like, but that's why. But what's
so you was wilding?
Oh, I was out of my mind. So matter of fact, he actually put me on timeout for like a month after that. He was like, "Nigga, you fired." I was like, "I'm fired? The fuck you gonna fire me?" He was like, "Well, you're not fired. You're gonna go have to work at the label in New York City." And I had to go work at the label Bloodline for like a month. And after doing that shit for a month, doing street team work, I begged to come back. I literally cried, please. I won't spend no more money on nothing. And I really wasn't getting paid anyway, so I looked at it like it was my vacation. I had a ball though. No, I ain't gonna lie. He just couldn't understand. What the fuck was you doing? He was like, massages. He was like, how do you get 60-something massages in 28 days? I was like, 2 times a day? Because, I mean, the sauna wasn't, you had the private sauna. Then you could actually take out the room. You could actually have the pool be private, too, if you wanted. At times. So, I mean, you know, you have a girl up there, I want private time at the pool. I'm taking an hour, not realizing the hour is $5,000 for that private hour at the pool that you register for yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's like all types of shit. Yeah, you burn money.
Good for you, though.
I had a good time. Listen, man. I had a good time. I did. I got a bunch of free robes. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I got like free Timberlands.
I ain't mad at you.
Yeah, it was a good time. Like everywhere we went, you know, I made sure I charged that shit to Silver Studios. Yes. As long as I knew Joel Silver was paying for it. And he was a nice guy. He's actually the character they based that movie on with Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah.
At the end where he's got the that's supposed to be Joel Silver. Yeah. Like that's how Joel was. Like he was very like. 'Cause I remember the last thing he did.
Where what's his name played the
Tropical
Black
Thunder.
Dude, Tropical Thunder.
The last thing he said to my brother was,
fucking,
he's like, Earl, I love you.
I love that
but I'll never fucking work with you again. You're the biggest pain in the ass I've ever dealt with in my life. And he said, I thought Arnold Schwarzenegger was a lot to deal with. Because he said Arnold Schwarzenegger was a fucking diva. Right. Like that Predator. That's why they didn't use him on Predator 2. Because he was such a fucking diva after the first one. He was like, I thought Arnold was a problem. He was like, you guy, man. He was like, you don't ever want to come to work. You know, and you can't be doing this to these Jewish folk. They need you on time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't like that not
it's
coming to show up.
There's a lot of stories about
Hype Williams used to have us taken to the hotel. We stayed at the Amsterdam hotel when they was doing Belly. We was at the Amsterdam Hotel. My brother, I know 15 ways right now to sneak into the Amsterdam Hotel. Right now. I can get us in there through back doors, windows. I know how to. We would find ways. He'd be like, okay, you know how we getting out of here today? I'm like, how are we doing it today? He's like, all right, look, here's what we're going to do. You're going to go downstairs first, and you're going to tell him to have an asthma attack. And then when he comes upstairs, I'm going to leave out the side elevator and say, I was going downstairs to look for them. And when I get out downstairs, I'm going to jump in a cab and get the fuck up out of here. You just meet me at 55 Ravine. Everything's good. I'm like, all right, man, we're going to do it. And we had a million ways to get out the hotel. A million ways.
So you was on set of Belly?
The whole movie. Yeah, the whole movie. The whole movie was great.
That's a classic.
That's why I know that like he wasn't really fucking homegirl in that movie. That was a body double. Because she's like a born again Christian or some shit. Yeah, that wasn't her that he was having sex with in the movie. That wasn't her body. That was another chick. That was a Jamaican girl. That was a Jamaican girl. Yeah, because she's a born again, I believe, and her mom was there, and she was like,
so they really fucking.
No.
But she didn't even do that.
She was there up until the scene started, and then it wasn't her no more.
Good thing you asked that because once he said that, I just automatically assumed. I said,
they really fucking in the movie. But another good thing is every week.
No, let me tell you this. My man told me that motherfuckers in movies really be fucking and shit. I've
heard that too, but I've never seen no shit like that.
All that shit. I never seen that shit.
Yeah, they be wearing the little things.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, no, they don't.
That one part
we had an argument. So now, when you just said that, you made me feel like I was crazy. I'm like, damn, he really fucked that girl.
That one part when they was in the shower, he wouldn't wear the little thing on his, with the little thong shit they give you, because they give you this. He was like, I'm not wearing that shit. He was like, I just let it swing. And it was like 15 chicks. I never seen so many women. That was when Hype was like, look, y'all got to get the fuck out of here. Because we was filming in a house in, was it Roslyn, Long Island? And everybody was up there to see this nigga dick run through the fucking, the shower scene because he was naked. He was really naked. And Terrell was like,
I don't know Kiana.
Yeah, I don't know no fucking Kiana. So he, everybody was all waiting to see all of this shit. And it's like I love making that movie. That was such a fun movie because all the weed they smoked in that movie was real weed.
Oh yeah,
my brother they was actually going to smoke the fake shit. They had the fake weed. The funny thing was he was down with smoking the fake weed. Yeah. He was cool with it. Louis Rankin, rest in peace. He was down with smoking that fake weed. My brother was like, I'm not smoking fake weed.
So Ox was smoking fake weed.
They was going to, but but he actually thanked my brother for fighting to smoke the real weed. Okay. He was like, nigga, I'm not smoking no fake weed. He was like, I got real weed. He was like, I got my official blunt roller.
X doing that, man.
Yeah, because he had a blunt roller. Me. I was like, nigga, roll up. Like I was the blunt roller at the time. Because you go through stages when you work with somebody like that. The first your little brother, you have to go through first you're the assistant, then you're assistant / personal blunt roller. Because everybody got one. I don't care who the fuck they are. If you're a rapper and you smoke weed, there's a guy hanging out with you that his job is to roll your blunts.
Right.
And that was what I did. I would sit there, let him talk shit, roll the blunts, and get the food. That was my thing. Because his assistant wasn't like most assistants. I didn't get no phone and no responsibility. My thing was roll the blunts, make sure the dog is okay, and don't fuck none of my shit up. And don't lose my book, which was like his big CD case, which was like more important to him than anything. And I leave that CD case everywhere. I was the worst. Why he left me? I left that shit at McDonald's.
Because his younger brother too.
But you was getting high too.